Thank you very much. I've been given 10 minutes to look at the progress that we have made in the area of professionalism in 2015, leading on from work that was done at this conference last year. I've got no relevant conflicts of interest to declare, and I'd like to start by talking about professionalism very briefly. In exchange for the great benefits that being a profession gives us, such as exclusive rights over knowledge, self-regulation and dominance in healthcare, and also the great individual benefits that come from a career where imagination is the only limitation to what you can achieve, and you get secure, well-paid and interesting work, we have an obligation to act with what we call professionalism in the interests of patients. A working party of the Australian Medical Council really recently came up with a great definition of professionalism, which links values that are intrinsic to the individual to their external behaviour. So that link is vital. It's no good having these intrinsic values if you don't demonstrate them in daily life. And that behaviour is what justifies the trust that is given to us. And in this space, everyone recently has been doing a lot of work, and I can only cover some of the things that have been achieved. But in Australia and New Zealand, really at the pinnacle are the good practice guidelines of our medical regulators. So moving down to accreditation, I'll start with primary medical programs, and the Australian Medical Council in 2011 included graduate outcomes in professionalism and leadership, which flowed through the curriculum, the teaching and learning methods and the assessment, and in particular to Standard 7.4.2, which was about the education provider managing students to ensure professional behaviour, and increasingly to look at what to do with students who were not behaving in a way that was thought to be professional. Concerns that were voiced at the AMC Council meetings and elsewhere about medical student behaviour resulted in the establishment of a working party, and there are members of the working party in the room here today. They took broad representation onto the working party. We've had a couple of meetings and a forum of the AMC Council, and the interim recommendations are as follows. We need to have stakeholder consultation on that fantastic definition of professionalism, on perhaps a code of conduct for medical students in Australia and New Zealand, and on the values statement that they produced. We need to develop ways to transfer important information about medical students between universities and employing or overseeing hospitals. Currently, that sort of communication is blocked by privacy laws. We need to once again review our accreditation standards to see if we can make even more firm recommendations in this area, and perhaps establish a professionalism network. So that work is ongoing. In Australia, the intern year is subject to accreditation, and the same domain of professionalism and leadership flows through the accreditation of intern posts, and this work was achieved by Liz Farmer and others in 2015 to develop standards for interns that identify professionalism as being important, and mechanisms to identify interns who are not developing those workplace behaviours. In 2015, the accreditation standards for specialist medical education were comprehensively revised, and these are the areas which touch on professionalism. We defined graduate outcomes. We looked at Indigenous health because cultural competence in this area is vital to being a complete professional. We realigned our curriculum standards in the ways that are listed there. And linking to the last speaker, we're emphasising the importance of interdisciplinary and interprofessional learning and patient care. Once again, with encouragement from the regulators, we have introduced standards that require employers, regulators, universities and colleges to work together to identify and share information and that this is focused on patient safety. We've introduced standards about well-being of trainees, which links to our first speaker today, to ensure that our hospitals and colleges are providing the right supportive environment. And finally, we're wanting to see this move through the continuum of medical education to CPD programs. Finally, 2015 was a watershed year in Australia and New Zealand with respect to bullying, harassment and sexual discrimination in the medical sector. We heard from Dr. Gabrielle McMullen about what she saw as the need for female surgeons to remain silent on sex abuse in surgery. We heard from Dr. Caroline Tan, who claimed that sexism was rife in the medical profession. We heard from the President of the College of Surgeons, Michael Grigg, who vowed to stamp out these behaviours. And finally, we heard an apology from the current President of RACS to those who had suffered discrimination, bullying and sexual harassment. So these are, in 1 year, such a strong surge of acknowledgement and apology and a call for action. The College of Surgeons established an expert advisory group. They were independent and extremely high level, and they identified the problems in surgery, and they identified a series of actions to which the College of Surgeons has committed. So this work has been carefully examined by the other medical colleges, and it's my belief that that we are at the start of a major movement to stamp this type of behaviour out. Finally, many employers have looked at what's happening in the colleges, what's happening in other health professions, and have established employment action plans. This is the plan from my hospital, which is the Royal Melbourne Hospital. We had staff and patient surveys that identified behaviours in the hospital that were impairing patient safety. We reworked our values with a safety focus in mind. We started an anti-bullying program, and then we partnered with the Cognitive Institute and the Vanderbilt University to establish a comprehensive patient safety program that we call Because We Care. That involved a 3-day leadership training program for 275 leaders in the organisation, including myself. We trained safety champions who are going to be responsible for teaching everybody, all the staff members in the hospital, about how to speak up for safety, and that includes unsafe behaviours such as bullying, discrimination and sexual harassment. And finally, we're implementing a professional accountability framework which involves capturing, addressing unsafe behaviours using an online system and a pool of peer messengers who go to people who have been reported and advise them that their behaviour has been noted to be unsafe. And at the Vanderbilt University in America, this has been extremely successful in improving the safety culture, reducing malpractice claims, and increasing the satisfaction and happiness of people at work. So in that brief presentation, I've touched on professionalism, its benefits, but also its obligations, and the progress that I think has been made in 2015 in 4 key areas. Thank you very much.